What's up, amigos? Commander Jaime here. Today we're gonna do a Giraffa updated deck profile by my friend Ross. I actually put up a video with Minerva versus this, and somebody had asked for a deck profile, so he's showing it off today. All right, let's get started.
Hey guys, the last time I did a deck profile for Giraffa was back at the Chicago Regional in August. But today I'm coming up with a new updated deck profile, as Jamie said. Instead of running 12 crits, I'm doing 4 draw, a crit. I felt like the draws are more needed now since the new Ichi is now banned, because I was only running 12 crits because of her. And I feel like the deck is a little bit more consistent and faster with the draw triggers back in the deck. Yeah, that's really it for the...
Why are you still playing the starter for Giraffa?
What was it?
How come you're still playing the starter?
I'm still running the starter because of how consistent that deck can be, especially with the Superior Ride for the build. It's a grade 2. I'll get to that when he comes out. So this is my grade 1 lineup. I took out Phantom Black for 3 Brawny Jerks. I'm running 2 of the grade 1s of the draft for the Chain Ride to help to get the Chain Ride intact still. I dropped down Trigo down from 3 to 2 to fit in Stealth Millipede, because I did take out like 2 Giraffa units in the whole deck since last time, so his searching isn't as necessary as it is before. And I'm running 2 Stride Fodders. So what happens is, if I ride the grade 1 on top of the 0, it'll allow me to search out the grade 2 of the Chain Ride, so I could keep everything intact and going. Stealth Millipede is in the deck now, since he finally came out with Infidelity Cradle as the box topper. He's also good to help if I can't get a stun off in the game early enough. He can help proc Trigo's effect, because when Stealth Millipede is at rest, my opponent's rear guards cannot stand in that column, which will proc the search effect at the beginning of the ride phase. I'm running Brawny Jerk for a mill engine, and also for ripping cards out of my opponent's hand, because when you're on the Ghidorah lockout, your hand is your life support technically. So by me discarding one to make them discard one, they lose more shield value than where Phantom Black would just keep a card locked into their hand, so they can use that key piece on their next turn.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed some pressure from Brownie Jerk, especially once you start getting to like 6 cards in hand, and then it's your turn. You start ripping to 5 to 4, and then I still have to deal with your Vanguard attacks. And if you're doing Ghidorah, then you have a 4th attack coming too. So guarding becomes a lot harder, especially since I can't even G-guard. So
Exactly.
it does come key with those discards. It's affected me to play around it.
And then especially if you're at like 4 or 5 damage, and if you got a PG in hand, you're already losing 2 cards. And if I rip a card out of your hand, you lose 3 cards just to technically PG.
Yeah, that makes sense a lot too. And the millipede is definitely something to be annoyed with, because if it stays on the field, you can't restand that column. And sometimes, like if you're playing Aqua Force, it can be kind of annoying, because if you do have a restander, and it gets, at the end of the turn, it stays there in that position unless you replace it with something or you intercept with it. And then if it does hit, then you get a counter charge, don't you?
Yeah. If if Stealth Millipede attack hits, or his boosted unit attack hits, he moves into Soul and counter charges one. That is mandatory, because it wouldn't be fair to have a card that could go, oh, I'm not going to proc its effect. Just keep it on the board for his effect, where your opponent can't restand their column. So he's a very strong card to help get resources back, especially on a Ghidorah turn. Because she's a counterblast one, and then it's a soul blast one as well if you do her other effect.
Oh, so it pays itself back.
Yes.
For it, basically.
Yes.
No, that's good, actually. I didn't think about the Soul Blast.
So now on to the grade 2s. I run 2 of the Chain Rides of Elite Mutant Giraffa. I run 4 of the A-Rank Mutant Giraffa unit. I run 2 Megalo Megalolancer,
It's
and
a mouthful.
that is a very big mouthful, and I hate it. And I run 3 heatable spots. I keep Elite Mutant Giraffa at 2 because if I draw into him and I draw into the Guard Giraffa, I can still discard this to get the Superior Ride of the Pupa Mutant Giraffa to add the other second copy out of the deck. So I don't have a dead card in hand. And I could keep deck thinning at that point.
Yeah.
I run the Heatable Spot at 3. Even though he doesn't have shield value, he's a 12k body, which can help shut down rush decks, or if I'm facing like a force deck and I know they have generic 10k attackers, instead of riding Elite Mutant Giraffa for a 10k body, I can ride it over 12, and if they want to hit me, they'll have to call a booster and or trigger just to hit a 12k body Vanguard. I run this guy. I run this guy at 2 because I really couldn't find a way to put in a third body of him. But he's still strong because he gets 2,000 power for every rearguard at rest. And I can move a unit into the soul when he attacks, and my opponent can't intercept for the rest of the turn. So if they decide to go protect 2 against me, I'll just put that away with his effect. And if I'm facing an Excel deck and they have a bunch of rearguards at rest, he just gets bigger to the point where they might not be able to really afford hand. Because 5 rest unit rearguards will be 10k, so he'll be 19. He'll be a 19k attacker just by himself.
The fact that you can soul charge during the battle phase, it made room for that superior call for Ghidorah, right?
Yeah. Because one of the things that was upsetting me is when I would call a unit off of Ghidorah's effect, I would technically lose a rear guard, and that would be of a resource or anything for my next turn. So by using him, I can just move like a booster in the background to the soul and replenish my soul blast for the Ghidorah skill to call out another unit. And then it could help set up for an antlion turn if I put a grade 3 into the soul.
Yeah, I was going to say you could put a grade 3 in the soul on your first stride that way too.
Yeah.
If you want to go aggressive. How do you like the Giraffa lineups though?
I feel like the Giraffa lineup's fine. I have thought about increasing it, but it gets to the point to where if it's worth it or not, I don't feel like it's worth it right now. If Giraffa ever gets a retrain, this whole deck will go through a massive modification and build requirement because of, the grade 1 will have 10k shield value. They'll have better effects and all that. Hopefully rearguard effects as well to help make Giraffa even more aggressive than it already is. All right, so this is my grade 3 lineup. I'm running 3 Unrivaled Rogue Blade Cyclomatooth. I'm running 3 True Demonic Rifle Rogue Gunning Kaleo, 2 A-Rank Mutant Sand Giraffa, and 2 Antlions. I used to run 3 Giraffa and 3 Antlions, but I dropped their numbers down to 2 to make room for Cyclomatooth. Antlion is still strong, but in my build that I'm running, he just doesn't do enough for me in some games where he just is a dead card where Cyclomatooth can just get the job done a little bit quicker, even though he does have the guard restrict. I like Cyclomatooth in the deck because not only does he generate a marker, if I ride over him, I can rip a card out of my opponent's hand. And on Vanguard or Rearguard swing, for a Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, he gets 10,000 power, sends the top card of my opponent's deck to the drop zone. And if it's a grade 1 or greater, he can go critical, which can put more pressure on my opponent. And then if I call him out with the Ghidorah skill, he'll get an extra 10k from Ghidorah, so he'll be swinging 32 just for technically a Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, on top of any boosters that he'll have. I run Gunning Kaleo on the deck, again for the mill. But if I'm going first, I can still have access to triple drive from his own skill when he's placed on Vanguard. He gets 5,000 power and a drive. Then he sends the top card of my decks to the opponent's, the top card of my opponent's deck to the drop zone. And if it's a grade 3 or greater, he'll get an additional drive and a 10,000 power, which will make him plus 15 with 2 extra drives. So he'll be swinging with 27 quad check.
Wow.
His second skill is if I get it off, or if I have a way to, or if I soul charge a grade 3 off of Brawny Jerk skill, I could proc his skill, turn 1 ride. His second skill is Soul Blast 1 grade 3 for my soul. Send the top card of my opponent's deck to the drop zone, and depending on that grade, they cannot guard with that specific grade from hand for the rest of the turn. Sand Giraffa is just in the deck for the searching engine off of Trigo. So if I end up being like grade stuck early game, but I get the stunning off to help proc his effect off of like Stealth Millipede, for example, I can try and get out of the grade stuck by searching him out. And if the situation calls for it, if I find the 2 copies off the top of my decks, I can just ride an ultimate stride from the searching.
Oh, so you can set yourself for ultimate strike.
I can set myself up for ultimate stride.
Okay.
If the situation is there. It's only happened twice.
Wow.
And then Antlion is on attack, Soul Blast grade 3, discard 2 cards. He gets 10,000 power critical, and he has Garter Strip of Sentinels, which can still be deadly if you do it with the Zoa, but also helps with the Gridora Stride, because you can give your triggers to the Antlion and prep for that turn as well. And then if you boost him with the Brawny Jerk, granted it's not no normal unit, you still rip a card out of their hand, which makes it harder to guard at that point.
One thing that I noticed when facing you, after a while facing Mega Colony, I could actually predict when the Antlion is coming. And the problem with Antlion was the discard cost. I noticed that if you couldn't finish your opponent that turn, it kind of puts you in a bad spot. Or it just kind of prolonged your game too. Because then you're barely struggling back to get to like your normal strides and being aggressive. And I noticed that you're using Cyclomatooth more on the rear guard, and you still have that crit pressure. And he also gets big, like you said, he becomes like a 32k beater with the Gridora stride. Yeah. And it's a lot less costly hand-wise from you to do that first stride, or even in the early game when you ride to grade 3, rather than the Antlion too. And plus you have the Millipede that refunds Cyclomatooth's cost too.
Yeah, exactly. With the Stealth Millipede, because as he's worded, if the unit he boosts attack hits, he runs the soda countercharge one, so it's technically a free mill with pressure. So even if he isn't critical,
yeah,
and he only hits for 1, I get to refund the resource and send the top card of my opponent's deck to the drop zone, which could be a heal trigger or anything that could have kept them alive longer in the game.
Yeah.
Which I've done.
In the Minerva game that I uploaded a while ago, you actually rolled that guy, and you got the grade 3 mill, so you got critical, and it was kind of scary because I was at 3 damage, so I didn't have enough to guard, but I got lucky because you didn't drive check any crits. But if you did, you would have finished me from 3 to 6. That grade 3 right turn.
Yeah,
wow, I'm still grade 2.
Yeah, I would have finished you that game.
Where Antlion still needs the grade 3 in the soul, right?
Yes.
Cyclomatooth doesn't need that restriction, so it's a lot easier to pull off. Doesn't hurt your hand either. So that's one of the things I noticed. I think it's a good addition, to be honest.
So as for my strides, I'm running 4 evil. No, you're not. You don't even have evil in your name. Guilty Empress Darkface Gridora. 1 GB8 Suppression Mutant Deity Tyrantus. 1 Zoa. 2 Poison Sickle Mutant Deity Overwhelm. And 3 Merciless Mutant Deity Darkface. So my plan is Well, that's like all Megaconny decks. Is to just go Gridora and try and win with Gridora. But
kind of reminds me of Alexandros with
yes.
Aquaforce a bit.
But honestly, sometimes a situation might not call for a Gridora, so I can go into Overwhelm to where I can try and get hand advantage back if it was just a bad game for me, or if it's late game, I could just give all my units X power to how many cards in their damage zone is face down, which can still be helpful. And then if I'm getting first stride and my opponent was back a turn because they missed their ride, I'll just go into not Gridora. I'll go into Overwhelm first, and then either plus for how many rear guards they have at rest, or I could just go crit and drive if they're only punching with the Vanguard and they have no other units on the board. Zoa, he goes high. I touch you with the guy I called, I win. GV8 is for every one of your opponent's units at rest, all your units get 5,000 power. Your opponent cannot intercept, and the units cannot activate their auto abilities. So, like, for example, like Gabrielle can't give herself 2,000 power for every card that goes to the damage zone. You can't have the one Gurgit that says move your rear guards to the back row to intercept.
Oh yeah.
I'm running Merciless Mutant Deity Darkface as a tech choice for me. I was running the other Protagonist Dragon for this deck, but I never go into it. I've only gone into it once since owning it. I feel like Merciless is just a better choice, because especially if it's if I'm already in a good position, and if they're going Protect 2 again, it's just one of those situations I can lock out their intercepts. So all the Protect 2 markers are now dead, and he gets bigger for every unit he chooses. And then the unit that he chooses through his effects cannot be chosen for cost or effects. So if they don't have a way to make them bigger if they don't have a way to make them bigger through any other kind of card effects or boost, they cannot pass the triggers to the unit that was chosen through his effects. So he tends to just kind of be there and not let my opponent have fun with their trigger stacking.
You flipped the first one with Gridora or Overwhelm, right? And then you go into it?
Yeah. I'll tend to do that just to try and max him out early game if I have to, or late game. Because sometimes because technically I could flip both Dark Faces and then say the last one for if I feel like the intercept's going to be a problem. I could just stride to this, flip a Gridora over, and I'll hit 2 units and he'll be 10,000 power stronger. Which, isn't a lot, but taking away 2 intercepts, especially throwing a Protect 2, is going to more than likely hurt him a lot more in the longer run of the game. And for my G guards, I run 2 Featherwall Mutant Deity Morph.
Another complicated name.
No, it's just I can't read this one upside down. Morphosian, if I'm pronouncing that right. I run 1 7-star Mutant Deity Relish Lady, Mutant Deity Fortification Grice Force, and 1 Screw. I was running 3 of her at one point, but I decided to drop back to try a Screw out for right now, because he's still really strong, because I could go into him and discard 1. Granted, he's a GV1 effect, but if I can't meet her requirements, I can just discard 1 and get the extra 10k, because sometimes my opponent might not have 2 or more units at rest or less. Yeah, when this unit is placed in Guardian, the number of your opponent's rear guards number of your opponent's stand rear guards is 2 or less. So if they have more units in stand, she's not going to be as beneficial as Screw. Grice Fort is still a very strong G guard because it can rest your opponent's whole back row, which can stop units that have, like, if this unit is boosted, it can help weaken their columns, especially if they don't get, like, triggers or anything like that to help them out. Relish Lady is also still really good because if my opponent doesn't want to rest 2 rear guards, I get to draw a soul charge and counter charge. But if they rest 2 rear guards, that's less attack and or pressure I got to worry about for my opponent to get through that turn in one piece, hopefully. Yeah, that's really it for the G guards. Don't screw with me.
Don't screw with me. That's right.
Yeah, that's really it for the Giraffa deck profile. I'm still testing it out. I feel like this is a good enough build for right now. And hopefully the deck gets a retrain somewhere down the line so I can make it stronger.
Yeah, I think it's definitely in the a right step in the right direction. And once you get a retrain, I'm sure your Giraffa part of your deck is just gonna increase the power level of it. So nice. Well, thanks, Ross. Thanks for showing us your deck profile that's been updated. And so leave a like, guys. Comment down below, share, and subscribe. See ya. Bye.
Bye.